thanks for joining us today. I'm here with Lexi and Sabrina, and we are going to be discussing how have you changed after your wedding. And I'm going to pick Lexi to start us off with what she has to say about it.
You know, I feel like I've actually changed a whole lot since we got married, partially because we had kids right away too, so that inherently makes you kind of grow up a little bit, reprioritize your priorities, and get yourself straight. But you know, right before I got married, it was just kind of like, you know, we just had a great time all the time, and I wasn't really taking anything too seriously. And now that we're married and I have my own business, it's just kind of like, you know, we both had to grow up super, super fast and just get right in gear. But it is really nice when my husband and I can get away and we can, you know, like take a little weekend trip somewhere. Sabrina, what about you? Do you feel like you've changed?
I have, actually. I had to learn definitely how to be a lot more interdependent as opposed to always kind of doing things the way I was used to doing them. I've sort of always been of the mindset, you know, rightfully or wrongfully, that like if I want something done right the first time, I have to do it myself. And I think that's been the case just because of like experiences, you know, throughout my life where it's like I kind of understand my vision of what I want. And so merging your life with a partner is like, you know, they have a vision of things too, like of how to crack an egg or how to, you know, pack a car, you know, like, so there are a lot of things that you learn that I think for me, I had to kind of learn to trust my husband in that sense that like, you know, he's a fully functioning grown-up adult who can do things just as good as I can, or maybe even better. And I think one of the things that I think the moment that I realized that was shortly after we got married. My husband got a promotion for us to move to Los Angeles. It was like a work-related thing. And so he was in Los Angeles before I was, and that meant that he was looking for apartments for us. And all of a sudden now here I was, you know, 3,000 miles away on the other coast of the country. And you know, he kept me really involved through the whole process, but I was so itching to know, you know, to be there and to see and talk to people. And every time we talked, I'd be like, did you ask this? Did you ask this? Did you ask this? And he was like, oh my God, Sabrina, yes, I asked all those things, and I asked so many more things. And so then, you know, he found a place, and then he called me and he was like, you know, I'm gonna sign the lease tomorrow. And you guys, I can't even tell you, like, I was crawling out of my skin at the thought of not having my name on that lease. Like, I don't know why it was like such an obsessive thing for me. I was like, this is my home, you know, we're moving into a place together, like in LA, and my name's not gonna be on the lease. And I think that's when I really had like a pep talk with myself, and I was like, oh my God, Sabrina, let go. You know, like now you're married, like you have to trust him to, like, you know, he's your husband. Like I can't have hang-ups like that, you know? And so that was probably the moment that I was like, depend on each other, because that's why you got married.
I've been a very independent person. I've, you know, purchased my own cars before and gone through the process with haggling and whatnot. And even though we've been married for 2.5 years, last February we decided that it was time for me to trade in my Honda Civic and buy a family car in preparation for becoming a family. And it was, you know, I'm not a very big feminist person, you know, I believe in equal rights, but one thing that bothered me so much was that the gentleman at the dealership put my husband's name first on the car, and I said, but this is my car. He's like, oh, it's just a formality, you know, no, it's not gonna matter, not a big deal. And I had a huge problem because they kept calling. The guy compromised by saying he'll put my phone number first, and so I kept getting phone calls asking for John Dell and wanting to speak with him about his experience with buying the car. And I would explain to the people, you know, this is my car, I was there. And they're like, well, I'm sorry, we have to speak with Jonathan Dell. And I said, okay, well, this is my number, so you'll have to call his. And they're like, well, this is the only number we had. And we went around in circles. They must have called me like 5 times. And then I unfortunately totaled my car in October. And then, but I loved my car so much, I bought the exact same one and had to drive like 300 miles to get it. And that time we made sure that my name went first because I had such a problem. So there's still little things that I just can't get over, but I feel like, you know, that's my car. I drive it every day. I should be the one in charge of making the decisions. But I mean, I never would have thought about it before, and you just kind of think, you know, marriage is equal, but you know, there's still things that fire me up about.
I had a really hard time communicating as far as just saying like, hey, I'm, you know, or just being able to communicate with Dustin that, hey, by the way, I'm gonna go to Starbucks, or I'm gonna go to the store, or you know, like, hey, can I go out with the girls tonight, or, you know, something like that. It was an interesting difference to have to like check in with someone all the time, and make sure that they're on the same page as you. You know, it almost kind of felt like I was back in high school, living under my parents' roof, you know, and having to kind of check in. And that was something that we really had to work out, that, hey, like, you're not having to, you know, I'm not the boss of you by any means, but we need to be on the same communication, you know, checking in with each other, knowing what our schedules are, you know, communicating.
So now that you've heard from us about if we've changed or not once being married, we'd like to hear from you. So please leave a comment and let us know if you've changed during your marriage. Thanks.